running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced and life was smiling. We were young and drunk in love.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am super excited to bring you guys a list of 6 unique baby girl names that I absolutely love, but I will not be using. If you guys are new around here, I am currently pregnant with twin babies. I have a daughter, her name is Chloe Stella, and we are pregnant with a boy and a girl who we are naming Mackenzie Willow and Miles Liam. And so today's video is all about some really special girls' names to me. They are names that I absolutely love. They are very uncommon. They definitely won't be on your top 100 lists, and probably most of them won't be on very many lists, but I absolutely love them. The reason we didn't go with these names is simply because my husband tends to lean more towards more common names. He likes names that are just something that's a little bit easier for people to wrap their heads around. And so some of the more uncommon names that I am in love with, he just can't get on board with. Some of them he actually likes a lot, but they just made it to the top of our list, but didn't end up being names that we ended up choosing in the end for our kids. So there's a few different reasons why we didn't pick these names, but we are most likely done having kids after the twins, and so we'll be capping our family at 3 kids. And so we won't be needing these names for any future children. Who knows if one day we'll get a pet, maybe we'll use one of these names. But for the time being, these names are names that I absolutely love, but won't be using for my kids. So today's video is just gonna be focusing on the girls' names that I love. So the reason that I'm doing 2 separate videos, one for boys and one for girls, is firstly, so that the video isn't like crazy long, and you guys don't have to sit through, 6 of each name. And also just because some people, unlike me, who's having twins, some people are only having, a boy or a girl, and they're only interested in those names. So I figured just make it easier and make 2 separate videos for everybody. So today's video, we're talking all about girls' names. So the first name on my list that I absolutely love, but I won't be using, is the name Elora. That's spelled A-L-O-R-A. I'll put it down on the screen as well so you guys can see. That name is a name that I have been in love with since I was a very young girl. And I actually remember when I first started dating Ryan, telling him I'm gonna name my daughter Elora. And I was convinced that I was. As you can tell, we did not end up using that name, but I still absolutely love it. I think it is such a beautiful, gorgeous name. It just flows off of your tongue, Elora. The reason that I fell in love with that name the first time I heard it was, if any of you have seen the movie Willow, which ironically is actually going to be my daughter, my second daughter, going to be her middle name, Willow. But in the movie Willow, there is this young baby, and her name is Elora Denning, and I just loved hearing Willow say her name, Elora Denning, and it just sounded so cute and adorable, and I just imagined naming my daughter Elora from a very young age, and I held on to that name very long. So it's been on every baby name list I've ever made, and it has just stayed there, but it just hasn't made the top name for me for any of my kids. But that being said, I'll give you guys a little bit of the background and origin of the name Elora. Okay, so the meaning of the name Elora actually means better than the best, or God's light. So I guess the root of the name, Al, God, and then Ora is light. And so therefore it kind of means God's light. It also has, like I said, the other meaning better than the best. And the origin of this name is highly debated, but the 3 potential origins are Jewish, Irish, or Latin. So one or all 3 came up with the name Elora, and like I said, I think it's just a really, really beautiful name. If you have an Elora or you plan on using it, make sure you let me know in the comments down below, because I would absolutely love to know if that's a name that you plan on using or that you already have used for one of your children. Okay, so the second girl's name that I absolutely love has been on my name list for at least 10 years. But I won't be using for any of my girls. And another one, I told Ryan when we started dating that I was certain I would be naming my daughter this. But unfortunately, he was just not able to get on board with it. I pushed for it. He really did. But it just wasn't something he was comfortable with. So that name is Anya. So I'll put that on the screen here as well. It's Anya, Anya. And the name Anya, I just think is so incredibly beautiful. I really do. I think that it also sounds kind of strong. So it has like more than just a pretty sound to it. And the name Anya is actually of Russian origin, and it gets its roots from the name Anna, which also, got its original roots from the Hebrew name Hannah. So Hannah is the very original root of it. Different languages have taken it, turned it to Anna, but in Russian it became Anya. And I just love the way that it sounds. I think it's very pretty, and it does have kind of a strong name to it. The reason that I fell in love with that name, if any of you watched the television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer back, when it was on in the late 90s, early 2000s, that is probably my favorite show of all time. Maybe on top 5, but probably my favorite show of all time. And I have watched it several times. And one of the characters in the later seasons of that show, her name is Anya. Her name is actually Anyanka, but they call her Anya. And I had never heard it before then, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I loved the way that it sounded, and I put it on my baby list, and I've had it on that list, like I said, since probably the early 2000s, so a very, very long time. And like I said, I would have probably used that for one of my daughters, but Ryan just was not happy with it. It never really felt right to him. And since they are both of our kids, we had to be 100% in agreement on their names. And that was just kind of the deal that we made, that we were both going to be happy with their names. It wasn't going to be just one of us picking the name. Because if it was, trust me, I would have an Anya. Okay, so the third name on my list is another name that I don't know when I actually heard it for the first time, but this name just stood out to me as being so incredibly beautiful. I'm sure it was on a TV show or movie, because almost all of these unique names came from something like that. But this name is Freya. That is spelled Freya, and I'll put it here down on the screen. And the name Freya, to me, it just has this like sort of ethereal, kind of like mystical sounding vibe to it. I'm not really sure. It sounds like something just out of mythology, which is kind of interesting, that it just has that vibe to it, because it actually, the origins of the name Freya is, it's a Scandinavian root, and in Scandinavian culture, specifically the Norse gods, the name Freya comes from Odin's wife. But I just think that it sounds really cool, really pretty. It's very different. It's not a name that you frequently hear, at least not here in the US. And I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It also is, its meaning can also mean lady in Scandinavian as well. So it does have that additional meaning, but its roots do come from mythology, so I think that's pretty cool. And another reason why I absolutely love that name is because Freya was the goddess of fertility, and as many of you know, I did have a fertility struggle. We had secondary infertility after Chloe, and it took us a long time and a lot of work to get pregnant with these twins. and we are so blessed and happy to have them. And so I do think that the name Freya, being the goddess of fertility, is something that's a little bit extra special. So that's something to think about too. Okay, so the next name, number 4 on my list, is a name that's actually pretty common as a male name, but it's not very common as a female name. And when my husband and I thought about using this name, we both actually really, really loved the idea of it, but it just didn't end up making the top of our list. And that name is Freddie. I'll put it down here. That is Freddie. And we absolutely fell in love with the name Freddie. We thought that it was just so cool and different, and just a way, I really like, taking a masculine name and applying it to, a girl, because I think that it just like takes on a whole new life and has a very different twist to it. And so I thought that that was really cool, like using the name Freddie for a girl. I also think it's cute. I like the spelling with the IE. And if any of you guys know my taste in music, you know that my all-time favorite band ever is Queen, and the lead singer of Queen was Freddie Mercury, and he was just an incredible, musically talented man. And I think that having a kid named Freddie and remembering, Freddie Mercury would have been pretty cool. But like I said, it didn't make it to the top of our list, but maybe now it's on some of your lists. So the name Freddie has German roots to it. It comes from the German name Frederick, which is actually spelled sort of interestingly. I will actually put the original spelling of Frederick on the screen so that you guys can see that spelling. And if I am pronouncing that incorrectly, please let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that that is the pronunciation. And that name, actually, the root of it means peaceful ruler. So I also think that it's kind of cool that the lead singer of Queen, the band, was named Freddie, which comes from the name Frederick, which it means peaceful ruler. And rulers are often queens. So I thought that that was kind of a fun little puzzle that I put together on that name. Okay, the 5th name on my list, actually, it probably comes up on more unique name lists, but it definitely is not ranking on your typical baby name lists, and that is the name Ophelia. The first time I ever heard the name Ophelia is probably similar to the first time any of us have heard the name Ophelia, and that was in Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Ophelia is the love interest in Hamlet. It is a ridiculous story. If you guys have ever read it, there is so much insanity going on in that story, but the name Ophelia truly stands out as just a beautiful, unique name, and it is not super common, at least not in this area. And if it is starting to pick up a little bit, it's just been very recently. But I do think that name sort of is reminiscent of names like Sophia, which is an extremely popular name, but it has more traditional roots, and it definitely is not as popular. So if you love the name Sophia, but you think it's too common and you don't want your kid to be like one of several Sophias in their class, I think that the name Ophelia is a great option that is pretty similar and could be a little bit less common. And the name Ophelia originally comes from a Greek root from Ophelos, which means help, or I believe advantage. So that's the root of the name. The rumor is that it was originally first used by 15th century poet Jacopo Sanzaro, but it wasn't really made famous until Shakespeare used it in Hamlet. So some of you may know it from there's a modern song, Ophelia, as well as some other characters in pop culture that are named Ophelia, but it originated way back in the 15th century. So I think that that's pretty cool. It is a long-standing name, but yet still unique. And the last and final name on my list, number 6, is a name that my husband and I both really truly did love and we highly considered, But like I've said before, it just did not make it to the very top of our list. And that name is Paisley. We both absolutely loved the name Paisley. And there's several reasons why I love that name. But the first and foremost is that when I was growing up, my mom absolutely loved the pattern Paisley. Which, if any of you guys don't know, I'll insert a photo, but it is just a very busy, colorful, bright type of pattern. And if any of you have ever met or seen my mom, you know that that fits her perfectly. And so I always grew up hearing Paisley or seeing the pattern Paisley. And I just thought it was such a pretty sounding, you know, interesting sounding word. And I had not heard of it as a name until a little bit more recently. And I don't actually remember the first time of hearing it as a name, but when I realized, oh, okay, that could be a name, and I started putting two together, I realized how much I loved the sound of it as a name. And I just thought that it was so interesting and very, very uncommon in this area. I don't know of anyone who's even considered the name Paisley, and I have not heard it on anyone else's lists. So that is definitely a unique name that I love. The origin of the name Paisley is Scottish in root, and it actually means church or graveyard, which I think is a little bit strange, because it definitely is not fitting of the term which was later applied to the fabric Paisley, which is a very bright and colorful and busy fabric. And you definitely don't think of a church or a graveyard when you think of the pattern Paisley. It's definitely been used in Scottish culture as a girl's name for a long time as well. And like I said, the fabric I think originated in India, and so that name has been used for a long time in regards to that specific type of fabric as well. So if you guys are thinking of using any of these names for your kids, or if you have used them, or if you know someone who has used them, let me know in the comments below. And also let me know some of your top names. Maybe there's a name that I missed that I absolutely love as well. And so just go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about some of my favorite baby names that I love but I won't be using. And make sure that you keep an eye out, because in a week I will have up another one of these videos, and it will be all about the boy names that I love but won't be using, and they are all going to be unique names as well. So make sure that you tune in for that one as well. And just so that you don't miss it, go ahead and hit that little bell icon down below the subscribe button, just so that you definitely will be notified when that video goes live and you won't miss it. And while you're at it, make sure that you hit that subscribe button too, and give this video a thumbs up so that I know that you like this kind of content. I can maybe make more baby name videos with some themes in the future. I would love to, if that's what you guys are interested in, but I can't know what you're interested in if you're not hitting that thumbs up and leaving me comments and engaging on this video. So definitely make sure that you do all of that. All right, guys, I love you all so much. Thank you for stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye, babes.
We were young and we were free and running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced and life was smiling.